picking back up where we left off on our Space Marine lady here. So, as I normally do, I've got to make sure that my streams are all up and running. And share a link to social here. Sharing, sharing, sharing. Sharing to Facebook. I'm going to share it to Twitter too, because why not? I gotta log into Twitter. So, how's everybody's Thanksgiving going? My family, we don't go too hard. We basically spend the day relaxing, of course. Come hang out with me while I do some digital painting. Alright, there we go. Shared to socials. Anyway, how's everyone's Thanksgiving going? So we do eat. We do the traditional, turkey, like most people do. Getting my chats all set up here. We do the traditional turkey, like most people do. The sweet potato this, the stuffing, all those great things. But we're not huge on going real crazy outside of that. My family we appreciate the time we have at home because all of us individually know what it's like to be busy. So we, unlike a lot of people, and I don't say this as a criticism, unlike a lot of people, we don't use our free time as an excuse to get more busy if we can help it. Alright, so last night we were working on her armor. And this is about the progress we made last night. So I guess I'll start a new layer for the progress today. Now eventually I'm going to have to force myself to get in there and give her feet. But today is not that day. I'm not feeling like working on that today. So we're going to get her other bracer. We'll start with that today. Make sure I've got the right brush selected. It looks like I do. Let's get right in there. Make sure if you are joining, if you're watching, that you do say hello. And let me know that you're here. You know how your Thanksgiving day is going. I am keeping an eye on all the live chats. I'm actually streaming to 3 separate networks at the moment. I'm on Twitch, Mixer, and YouTube Live. Swatching, let's get this dark. It's dark. Her Kevlar weave here on her arm. Go. clean up the edge of this a little bit, and then we'll give it some rough dynamic. This is more on the side that the light is on, so I may just go ahead and be brave and grab this white. Maybe not yet. I mean, we're at a higher opacity, so we'll get this edge in there. And we'll do what we did before, which is make sure we give this, a nice defined kind of contour shine. Spread out, make that a little bigger. Give us some shadow under there. Clean up the edge of that. Just with the eraser. Eventually I'm going to have to merge these layers, but I like being able to say, here's what we accomplished today, and flipping a layer on and off. I think that's I just think that's kind of neat. So we've got another armor plate back here on the hand. Let's go ahead and flat that in. Oh, wrong color. Just knock that in there. Let's get her gloved hand going here. We'll let these two things kind of push and pull each other in contour, and that will be a large part of what will clean them both up. Oh yeah, and she's got this this holographic map generator in her hand. Her hologram. So get in here, kind of lay that in. We'll do some things to make sure that it looks radial, that it looks like a disc, aside from just the shape, of course. Not quite there yet. Take a look at something in my live stream here for a moment. Alright, cool. Let's keep going. With your fingers, fill in the digits. This is rough and messy, I know. That's okay for now. Later on, it will be a bit more critical. So I don't want to be too messy. I don't want to leave myself just a big nasty to clean up later. So I do want to make sure I generally get the contour of these fingers right. Right now, it's just kind of a block. Stroke it in here. It's pretty good. Some variation in there. But we will. Well, let's go ahead and be brave with the black and get some of this contour really articulated here, especially down in here where the fingers start. Give them a little bit of a shadow. And I mean, these knuckles, these back knuckles in particular, are going to have more of a marked shadow. Go a little lighter. Here, let that kind of show that knuckle. Here, on this edge here. Again, show this individual finger. A little bit on the edge here. We'll dig in a little bit on the finger contours, where the tension points in the glove would be. Let's turn off the line art for a second. Okay, that looks like something. It's not beautiful. The edges are very rough, but like that looks like her hand is there. Although I will admit, actually, I'm kind of glad I turned that off. I will admit that the posture of this hand it looked okay in the drawing to me. It did. But now something looks off about it, so I might actually end up repositioning these fingers. Maybe I'll return to my sketch at some point and do that. But not quite yet. Let's see if we can pull it out here. It's more just like that her fingers are all uniform. I feel like if she's holding that in her hand, then maybe that would be happening, with individual fingers kind of rolling out. So I think I'm going to have to fix that in the line art later. I'm not going to be concerned with that at the moment. We're going to keep moving. A lot of her armor and features and stuff, once we can finish this once over, and we're going to need some contrast work and some refining too. Alright, let's get in here and keep rolling. What color am I? It doesn't matter. This will be fine. So what value am I even using here? I hope this isn't an absolute black, because I like having a little bit of room to play with it after I've basically laid it in. And okay, I do have my size jitter turned on, accompanying or triggered by pin pressure. Sorry, pen pressure, not pin pressure. And, that's the bottom of that rubber there. It's small. Let's get in here and be a little bit more precise. And that's the top of, is that the top of her knee? Top of her boot. Yeah, that's wildly, I think I'm actually going to lighten this up. That's wildly lighter or darker than anything I've done so far on the her underlayer there. The kind of soft clothing underneath the armor. Let's just lighten that up a bit, just so that things don't look so weird to me when I zoom out. It's still a little too dark, but we'll equalize those things later. And we can kind of give this leg armor a little bit of an three-dimensional under contour here. There we go. It's kind of cool. Alright, down to the boots. And I think I'm going to have to play with this because I honestly don't feel like I got the line art where her light panels are supposed to be very clean. It's not super great. So in painting, I might have to clean that up since I didn't devote as much energy to that in the sketch. I tried to make the sketch pretty clean since the second version of this painting we're going to do is going to have the line art in it. It's going to be at like a cartoonier approach just because I'm practicing different stuff. But for the painting, little details like that I can massage just while I'm painting. I don't necessarily always like the idea of doing that. Because, as you know, let's give this some dynamic here. This is the front of the boot. So it's going to be brighter because it's facing our light source, which is in front of her. And there's going to be some shadows creeping up back there. Kind of like that. Not perfect. That might be a little better. I don't know if I'm fully articulating the shape of this boot. It's super great. Let's grab this really, really light color. Yeah. This is going to be one of our light panels on her armor. So really want to keep it bright. And then right in the center, as we've done in the others, give it a light core. It's basically pure white in the middle. I don't know, something about the shape of this I might have to rework. But I want to get it in here so I can at least see it and make that decision. Get a little messy on the outsides. Just clean that up. And then this back boot. This back boot's really going to be defined by the fact that there's a shadow on the boot in front of it. Since I keep gravitating toward giving her, oh wow, this is way too bright. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for like that value. But again, I'm going to have to make sure that you can tell the difference between the boot back here and the boot that's in front of it in the foreground. Which, actually, I think you kind of can already. kind of like that. I don't want to overstate it, which I think I might have a little bit. You can even it out, no big deal. Just even it out, like that. And then I can push back on it with the boot that's behind. Just kind of pushing back. It's the boot, it's the boot, it's the boot, it's the boot, it's the boot. Alright, cool. Forgot a little detail here on her bracer. Get a little darker. Well, there's that. And, why don't we clean up our little hologram generator a little bit. So let's give it a nice shine along the top edge. Getting increasingly bigger over here. That's where the light's coming from. Now let's give it just some kind of metallic, these little just these little, like, kind of aluminum, this little metal flecks. And then we can clean up the way that the glove is sort of infringing on our territory here. It's getting better. All right, let's take a look at this little bicep armor over here. Let's give that something. Bring it right up to the chest plate. Give it its own identity there. Alright, so now I'm kind of at the grenade. I haven't done the grenade yet. Let's do the grenade. Sure, we're not missing details. I haven't done the belt buckle yet either. Let's do that. Let's block it out. Basically got the belt roughed in there. Just grab this. Start defining it. Give it some shadow over here. Okay, we've reconnected to chat. I think I had some kind of internet issue there just now. Weird. Right. And then this top part, I guess, would still be in shadow, but not as much as the other spots because it's the top. The light's up there. So it's not really as dark as these areas here. And actually this bottom one is going to be darker than the one above it. Let's make sure we show that properly. Cool. Let's give that belt buckle some light dynamics here. Oh, not bad. Let's do the grenade. Let's give it like a little dark colored strap. Side here. Start giving this thing some shadows. Give it some shadows because it's warm. counter that. And pushing back with some highlights along the front of our nade. Give it a little top highlight. And I thought it would be interesting if the grenade had, instead of like a pull pin, if it had like a button on the top. Maybe it's biometric, or maybe you have to flip that button up and then depress something. But I thought it would be cool to just not have the conventional, overly analog mechanical thing, since we are trying to make things look really futuristic here. So I just decided, let's give the grenade some different type of trigger mechanism than what we're typically used to seeing. Clean up the edge here. So let's give it that. Give some general kind of value differentiation here. There we go, just a touch darker on the side. Maybe even more. I'm not really seeing it through the underlying gray there. There we go. There's our little grenade. And now my contrast isn't super consistent throughout the piece right now, because I've got one other thing to do here. I've got these little seams to basically I put these seams here to really illustrate that this is cloth, that she's wearing, pants and like some kind of undershirt. So what I may have to do before I put these in is figure out how kind of the fold patterns are going to go here. This is going to take some subtlety, I think. So if we have like just a light, this kind of thing, and another one here, that, and then let's put a little highlight for some cloth action going on there. And then, of course, things are going to be darker as we get further away from the light. Down into this area between. Oh, I gotta watch it because that wouldn't intrude so much on the armor. It would be localized. And so if that's our little make sure we get down to black subtly and tastefully there. There we go. Give it some, no, I don't want that to look weird, you know what I mean? Be careful here. Sample color, sample that area, and let's even this out. Be tasteful here. It's pretty decent. I think I could. Taper down into it a little better. Do this over the course of a few different layers, a few different strokes. Just have the different strokes theme pop into my head. Different strokes to move the world. Yes, it does. It does. Different strokes to move the world. That's a little bit of useless TV knowledge for you. When I was younger, for whatever reason, I I quite like that show. It's really with these tight little shadows up underneath the belt. Really start pushing that con, because now we've done, right? We've pretty much roughed in the whole thing, aside from the feet. We'll get to the feet later. So now we can get in and start cleaning and detailing, right? So I'm going to make a couple notes for myself here in my line art layer. One of those notes is that I'm going to say hand pose. I'll know what that means later. And then also feet, exclamation point. And the reason she has no feet is because I didn't put feet. I ran out of paper, because I originally did the sketch on paper and I ran out of paper. Because at first I thought it would be interesting to have her pose be more crouched and dynamic, but I realized that I was loading my plate too full with things to consider, because I thought about her maybe pointing a weapon toward the camera and doing like a really exaggerated perspective and having her be in a more dynamic stance. But I realized that I was already practicing two relatively new things for myself: female characters and space armor, which the armor wasn't going to be all that difficult. But I didn't want to add on top of that even more stuff to make it harder. So I figured that, walking on its own was enough of a pose to have to consider. All right, so now we start getting brave with our contrast. All right, let's look up here at the neck. So this is all flesh here, so it wouldn't be so drastically different from the tone of her face. Wow! That's 100% opacity. It's not what I want. Reel it back in. We're going to do this slowly. Really do it slowly. Just kind of evening her out here. And I don't want to lose, I'm not trying to lose these highlights on her. I think these muscles are called the brachialis. I'm not trying to lose those so much as I do need to make sure that this does look like a skin tone and that it doesn't just look like a dark cloth underneath. So, really cautiously but deliberately. That already is starting to look a little better. I'm starting to lose her little diodes. Put those back. No big deal, little diodes. No big deal. Just put them back. Personal health monitoring system of the future here. Meant only for super soldiers. Patent pending. We just gotta clean. Well, no, I don't even really want to, we're not cleaning yet, we're pushing contrast. So since her armor is white, I want to really focus on going into areas and pushing the highlights where they need to be pushed. So obviously there's going to be some highlight on the breastplate. Really be brave about this. And I want to make sure, like let's make sure that at some point these highlights become tight and focused. Even some of the shadow action over here, I'm not 100% convinced this would even be happening this way. Right. So just kind of even some of those things out. Cool, cool, cool. Let that shadow happen, you know, gradually. Now on this shoulder, I really want you to be able to just see this cool highlight there. But the rest of the shoulder, I mean, if her armor is a lighter color, is white, you know, maybe that'll change, but let's really get in here and be brave about this edge, huh? Really define this edge. Let the light kind of build up in this corner and then taper off again as we're moving up top. Same thing with these. It's kind of neck guard, shoulder things. Light will taper off going back. It's going to be up front. And this front part, you know, is going to arguably be the brightest, and maybe we'll put something on there eventually. Just really kind of dapple in some of these highlights. Let's, by that same token, let's make sure that my shadows are really cleaning up here. But this, like as this retreats back into the darkness, that it tapers correctly. Same thing here. Sample that. Clean up this edge. Back of her neck. And the top of this guard. And what I'm doing is I'm sampling that color so that things become a little bit more seamless here as I clean these edges a little. Pushing contrast, so let's get in here. Let's get in here in these armor plates. In here in the super soldier ab plates. Really darken these up, really push the envelope here. Just it's got a taper, so we can kind of do that. I'm trying to be very deliberate here, very decisive. Like this is a tight little shadow. Really gonna get this size jitter going so I can be very specific about how I want to shape this. this nice and contrasty. And you know, I've seen some people who get such great just gradients. It almost like, but yet they get really tight edges, and that's, man, that's such a skill. When they have these gradients where you can't even see their brush strokes, but yet their edges are sharp. The edges of objects are sharp. My style is still a touch loose, as you can see. I'd love to get to that point. But I also recognize that for me personally, that's not critical, because often I'm doing this work kind of on my own, or for myself, or for my own stuff. And as long as the picture itself gets made, that's the key thing, right? Now it looks a little odd currently. You gotta push these highlights that border this, right? And that's not going to go all the way back here, because it's moving away from our primary light source. Same thing here on this belt. Really start kind of committing in. Edge lines. These highlights on it. It's a belt, it's reflective. It's the sound that light makes. You already know that. You've seen movies before. Be so pronounced here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to give this a smaller parallel highlight so that it doesn't just look like a design on the belt. But you can, oh, that's not parallel correctly. That's not on plane. There's one thing light is, it's pretty precise. Okay, how's that? Yeah, I might play with this belt some later. Speaking of the belt, right? Same kind of thing. Get in here. Let's give it a really defined top highlight. right? And we have these different spots where these kind of square cutouts are on the belt. So let's put a little something there. This might be a little messier than it needs to be. I think I might actually be working at too high of an opacity. I think I actually am. Let's go back. We'll leave that top highlight on the belt. I think that's okay. But I'm seeing my moves a little too harshly right now. So I can kind of get a more precise shape by averaging what I'm doing across a couple more strokes. So far today, let's kind of see what's changed. Quite a bit. And I think this armor up here, I think we gotta justify how dark. I think we gotta justify how dark those shadows are by brightening this, at least the edges of this up. You know what? I may actually have to. I may have to backpedal on how. Well, let's wait before I do that. Let's get like the border of our light bar articulated a little bit crisper here. Is this a light bar? Yeah. And we need to get the separation between the breastplate and the abdomen armor pretty defined. Those are going to look a little uncommitted there. Cool. Well, let's try and get that same level of commitment up here, right? This is going to be really thin and really precise. Over here, before that shadow opens up a little bit and tapers down. Same kind of thing. this on the eraser, it's on there. I was like, what's going on? Why are things going away when I'm trying to add them? That's the opposite of what I want. So we get this really, really nice separation between the armor plates here. That's cool. And let's take this highlight and let's make it like Michael Bay aggressive here. Whoops. Really just like bicep. And we'll give this, you know, a little more credence up top. Yeah, it's looking better. Get in here and make this pretty dark. This is just like an armpit. So, you know, no light, not a lot of light, nothing exciting going on there. Let's start to give these guys a pretty well-defined, some pretty well-defined shadow action in here. Since this is these kind of like little depressions on the belt, a little square pattern. The shapes of those aren't super consistent, are they? I'm going to fix that later. Alright, we'll give her a really tight little shadow underneath her mag holster here. It looks like to some extent I've done that in some places here already. We'll define the shape of it a little more too by digging it right up under the edge here. Just nice and yeah. Give it something of a highlighter on the edges, on the top, on the side where the light is. Just a little something. Okay, all right. Looking better, looking better. Same thing over here. Oops. Same thing over here under this pauldron. This shoulder armor. Really give it a tight little shadow underneath. And then clean that subsequent edge of this piece of armor here. Now some of these cloth areas, if this area of the pants is going to make any sense, they need to have some highlights just to give it a little bit of a fabric vibe. Some little highlights here and there. Do the same things. Well, got to fix that hand later. Some of this contrast is starting to make a bit more sense now. Seems like this is a little too flat at the moment. Yeah, just give that a little bit, you know, a little bit more dynamic. This is really fuzzy, and I have to make a decision on how I want to fix that. I don't know if that's going to happen today. I don't know if it's just a highlight. You know, I'll have to turn my line art back on. I've kind of been working without the line art for a minute. This shadow here could make a little bit more sense if I let it be dark there, but it's got to move out quickly. Goes back to the hair, that's great, that's fine. This one, the light bar here is going to be a little bit tricky. But I think the first thing we need to do is we need to clean this edge. This is a defined piece of armor, and right now it look a little blah. This hasn't retained a very definitive shape yet, so let's make sure that happens. Push this back. And as we've done with every piece of armor, start to give this a little bit more dynamic, right? So just start adding a highlight up here. You know, probably reshape something like that as far as the highlight is concerned. That makes a little bit more sense. You can give this a little bit of edge definition if you get down in here. Might be a touch overstated, but we'll get there. Kind of need to do the same thing here. Define this just a little bit and cast shadow. All right, so here's basically what we did yesterday. Here's largely what we've done today. So we've brightened up this armor. I will need to work on the leg pieces later on. And I will need to... There's still some cleaning that has to be done. Oh, and the gun. Actually, let's get in here and kind of do that while I'm looking at it. Let's get our line art turned back on. And let's at least give the gun a shape. It's only fair. And the geometry of this, I don't think is perfect yet. In fact, I'm sure it's pretty far from perfect, but little details like that in this particular piece, not so important. I'm getting better at an array of skills over time. Most important thing today, just give the gun some three-dimensional quality. Just give it something. %1 opacity. I am talking about committing. I'll drag that down to 1% opacity. Yeah, that was probably silly. There's shine I just added. So there, that makes a little bit more sense. Okay, so today we have done there to there. All these little, evened out her neck. We got the highlights on the armor pumped up. We got her left hand kind of started getting some of the fabric folds in her underlayer there. We defined the belt a lot more. A lot of cool stuff. All right, save your work. As always, I'll see you guys next time. Onward and upward. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a good one, folks.